First word, though, goes to the lads in the studio. Not often we get Friday night football, Tomo, but that turned out to be quite the treat, specifically in the second half. First one a little bit slow, but second half it just exploded into life, didn't it?
Yeah, it did, and I'm really pleased for the gaffer. It was a really good performance in the end, and the lads really wanted more. It could have been 4 or 5. And so pleased for young Rio. I thought he was fabulous tonight, and even Verge and Robbo was superb. So yeah, it was a good performance and a good Friday night performance.
It was. Winning is always the main objective, but they got that win with a fair bit about them in that second half as well, Jace. There's lots of good stuff in that performance.
Yeah, really good second half, 45 minutes. First half was a bit reminiscent of the other night, wasn't it? And I thought, oh, here we go again. For all the changes in personnel, they served up the same. I'd have to say disappointment, rubbish.
I think they started a little bit
they started quicker. They did
moving
start
it around
quicker.
a little bit quicker, I thought, in the opening stages at least.
Yeah, there was a bit of purpose to the passing and the movements, and you're right, it was quicker. Worked the way through the lines a little bit better, but still, to create something was a little bit poor, to be honest. Had the header gone in and not been offside, it might have changed the complexion of the game in the 45 minutes, but it wasn't to be. And then we came out second half again, like the first half, first 10 minutes, they were really at it, moved the ball quick, but were rewarded for it this time by, a little spell there of 5 minutes where Robbo just, he goal scorer and then turn provider, and it was made up for him.
How good was he tonight overall, though? I think his all-round performance was excellent, Tommy.
Yeah, I thought he was superb, and I think obviously young Rio having Robbo behind him was giving the confidence to go forward. Even in the first half, I know we didn't create clear-cut opportunities, but Rio was so dangerous. He was getting crosses into the box, whether they go into the back post or whatever, but they were doubling up on him. They were trying to get physical with him. I thought it was a really superb performance from the left-hand side, particularly in the first half.
It's not too often we've kind of been able to almost relax and enjoy the closing stages of games this season, Jace, but it felt like tonight, certainly after that second goal went in, total control really.
You could see it from the Wolves players. It was like someone had pulled the plug on it and the energy had just gone out of them. They kind of ran out of ideas, but we were critical of Liverpool, certainly when they got back into it on Tuesday night, how they mismanaged the game. Tonight was the total opposite. They get themselves in front, they get themselves the second goal. Wolves never really offered anything really, but Liverpool controlled the tempo, they controlled the ball, the movement was good. They weren't taking too many opportunities, but there was a concentration when they were in possession, which is sometimes critical of Liverpool. When they're in possession, they are vulnerable sometimes and they do get caught with a quick break. But tonight you just felt they were in control. Disappointing they conceded, would have been nice to have taken away a clean sheet, but again it was a ball over the top, done for pace, and it was a good finish, to be fair. But in saying that, a clean sheet would have been nice, but we don't want to be too critical. We just take the positives.
It's a good point that, though, about game management, Tomo, because we're always told 2-0 is the most dangerous scoreline in football, and game management has been a bit of a sore point at times this season, and Liverpool managed those closing stages impeccably, really, you can't argue. Yeah,
they did. They got the confidence, and I think, obviously, the performance was quality in the second half. That does give them the confidence. Yeah, they will be disappointed. Ali will be disappointed he's not got his clean sheet bonus today.
Yeah, in terms of the first half, you say you felt like it was a carbon copy of Tuesday. We said maybe it was a little bit better. I mean, still getting opportunities, 6 corners in the first 25 minutes, but not too much of an end product from any of those, but still felt in control, David, despite the lack of an actual goal and a breakthrough.
Yeah, but we still looked the threat off them. I think the opportunity where the ball, if Maka hadn't had his eyes closed in the first half where it hit him in the face, I think if he gets that flick on, then there's a cue at the back post. But I think we mixed it up well as well today, with a couple of short corners, and it's nice to see that we're thinking about it as well. We're not being so predictable. But it was also nice to see that, Jason mentioned it before, the tempo of the passing. There was a lot of one-touch movements and interplay around the box. And it was nice to see, and that's how you open up these low blocks. You've got to be persistent, and you've got to change gears, and got to make it a real true test of stamina. And I thought we did that tonight. They looked tired. They looked, they were on the last legs. Yeah.
Yeah. What I would say about the first half, I know we can be critical of Liverpool, and maybe the expectation is quite high, and we want to see that goal in the first half, and we want to relax a little bit, and we want them to take control. But sometimes you've got to give credit to the opposition. Listen, Wolves got a lot of, and Tom touched on it there, second half, when Liverpool got the second, you felt the energy, it just gone out of Wolves. They put a lot of work into that first half, defending, moving the ball. They didn't create hardly anything themselves, because I think sometimes, listen, where they are vulnerable, but they want to stay in the game as long as they can. They did it the other night. They stayed in the game as long as they can. They got themselves in front. They give away a sloppy goal to Liverpool. They give away possession. Salah punished them. But then it opened up, didn't it? And it's kind of like, that was a bit of a carbon copy of the Villa performance. They stayed in it. They stayed in it. They stayed in it. Last 20 minutes, it become a very open game. Could have gone either way, to be honest, but Wolves come out on top in both games. Tonight's tactics would have been the same, stay in it as long as you can. That means not conceding in the first 45 minutes. That's saying, let's keep it for the 20 minutes when it opens up, and we'll see if we can get another winner. So Liverpool, for all the knocking on the door that they did, which wasn't a great deal, you've got to give credit to Wolves for the way they defended.
Yeah, and in terms of looking ahead as well, we'll speak more about Galatasaray in depth a little bit later on in the show, David, but it does kind of kickstart that momentum for what is, of course, a massive game on Tuesday. Oh,
it's a huge game, and we'll be watching the Galatasaray game on Saturday against Besiktas, see if they get a few injuries in that one, but it's a huge game. And I'm actually, I thought the performances tonight from Robbo and young Rio, nice to see that the gaffer pulled him off, because he's obviously having considerations whether he starts the game on is it Tuesday or Wednesday?
Tuesday,
Galatasaray.
I thought his performance today was superb. For a 17-year-old kid, I thought he glided past people, he got shots on target, he got crosses into the box. I thought he looked really strong at times, so yeah, I was pleased. I could see him tiring a little bit, and I was pleased when the gaffer brought him off. But yeah, we were really strong down that left-hand side today, and I thought it was real quality.
Yeah, we'll definitely go into more depth on Rio shortly, but let's bring in our fan panel and get their reaction to the result first of all. Alex, I'll come to yourself firstly. What did you make of that one?
Yeah, good to see you all in the studio again. It's actually my first time being on here after a game in which we won. So hopefully
welcome. Maybe you're the lucky charm. So,
well, third time's a charm. Listen, big confidence booster. If you ask the lads where they wouldn't want to play after losing that game on Tuesday, it would have been Molineux, and it would have been the exact same team. And Wolves did copy and paste that performance in the first half. They limited us. I agree with Jace. You got to credit them for that. It was, not really littered with open chances for Liverpool, a few crack shots at goal. But okay, you grow into the game, and you take your chances when they come. And I think the 3 goals that Liverpool did score, really high quality. The assist for Robbo minutes after, he scores a John Arne Slot-esque type finish. What a 5 minutes for him. And then the third goal, really positive, balanced, curved finish from Jones. So annoyed not to get the clean sheet. It is another goal that is conceded in injury time for Liverpool, so that's something that has to be cut out going into Europe. But overall, second half really good, first half a little bit iffy, but once the changes came on, Liverpool took total control of it.
Okay, Alex, thank you very much. Stephen, I'll come to yourself. I imagine you share a lot of Alex's thoughts there. Pleased with tonight?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Tuesday night was Liverpool's season in a microcosm, actually. A lot of effort, a lot of huffing, a lot of puffing, and very little end product. Poor game management in the last 10 minutes. And I think it was very good and positive to see that, lessons had been learned tonight. We controlled without having a penetrating force for the first 45, and I thought we started the second 45 very, very well. Absolutely made up for Andy Robertson tonight. I think he's been a model professional this season. Actually, he's been forced to spend a lot of time on the bench, and when he's taken the chances, he's taken them very well. And tonight, I thought he was absolutely exemplary. The strike was first class, very reminiscent of a strike for Scotland against Cyprus 6 or 7 years ago. I thought his assist was fantastic. I also thought Curtis Jones had a great game as well, and I thought he thoroughly deserved the finish for the third as well. But just like Alex saying, you think you're cruising, you think everything's hunky-dory, and then a momentary lapse in concentration, and then all of a sudden Wolves get a goal back. We really, really, really need to cut that out.
Okay, thanks very much, Stephen. David, final word for this section goes to yourself. Lots to like about tonight, and specifically that second half. What were your big positives?
Yeah, I think everybody had positives throughout the game, really. I think there were some players who maybe drifted in and out. I don't think Mo had the greatest first half, but he gets his goal and he's got a smile on his face at the end. And I think that's everyone can take something from this game, particularly Rio. What a great 68 minutes that was. And I just think, particularly through the middle, I know we got done through the middle at the end, but I thought McAllister had a really good game, just anticipating things in the midfield and allowed Curtis to do his work. And Szoboszlai at right back, appearing up on the left wing late on, and the rest of the team kind of flowed with it. You'd hope you keep a clean sheet off the back of that, but at the same time, that maybe keeps people a bit honest going into the next game, and just knowing there's still lots to work on here. It's not all done and dusted. But the rest of the draw, I know we're the first game out this weekend, but I think there's some decent teams left in this FA Cup. But I think this is a cup that's ready to be gone and won, really. And with someone, what I did like was that you brought on players at the end where you actually looked at the bench and said, right, we've got Wirtz and Frimpong to bring on, and we've got legs here, and we can control the game from here. And the way that the young lad on the left hand side played, I mean, it's just like a young David Thompson coming on, wasn't he? I mean.